That captain who arrested Mr. Justin was wrong in his assertion. It's not a violation. It's not disorderly conduct. And furthermore, he let his ego get the best of him. Looks real bad because it's all a bad name. We're not like that.
Recently, Justin was assaulted by Captain Colin Lillard of the Dover Marshal's Office while simply exercising his constitutional rights. This wasn't just a bad decision, it was a blatant abuse of power and a gross display of what a professional law enforcement officer should be. In my law enforcement experience, I have never seen an officer more out of touch with reality than the tyrant, Colin Lillard.
And as a veteran of law enforcement for 21 years, I am going to tell you that arrest was 100% bogus and a false arrest. Captain Lillard got a case of what I'd like to call, when I was in law enforcement, a case of the by gods. By God, I'm the police, and by God, you're going to listen to me, and by God, you're going to do what I say, or by God, you're going to go to jail.
It was obvious that Mr. Lillard was outraged. Lillard jerked McHenry into the doorway of the department. Pretty common treatment. I mean, in my career, that's pretty common treatment by most officers. He threw McHenry into the lobby glass. He busted his mouth.
I saw the deal in Dover, man. Oh,
dude,
man.
Hey, what do you think about that? Was that crazy?
That was, oh man, that was...
My trial is on March 3rd.
Colin Lillard is an uneducated, un-American tyrant who is the captain of the Dover Marshal's Office in Dover, Arkansas. In 10 days' time, Colin Lillard ticketed a jailer from a neighboring town for flipping him off, while Lillard wasn't even on duty and was in his personal car with his wife. He arrested Cody Duos for quietly cursing in City Hall while trying to make a records request in reference to a bad traffic stop that Lillard had made earlier that day. And then he arrests me for protesting Cody's arrest, along with busting my lip and bruising my tooth on a window, throwing me to the ground, and then choking me in a back room with no cameras, all for no other reason than his ego is bigger than his brain. I'm taken to Johnson County Jail, which is the next county over, instead of Pope County, where Dover is. Garrett from 50 Media discovers that Dover has been unlawfully taking prisoners to Johnson County for an upcharge because of a backroom handshake deal that was made by officers who were terminated earlier last year. And by the way, this has all come to a stop after being exposed. And then the Dover Marshal Chief, Josh Titsworth, hides evidence to protect his Blue Line buddy. And to top it all off, I get a death threat phone call from who I believe to be the son of Captain Colin Lillard. Links to all these videos will be in the description and comment section. So after all of this, and before my trial, this happens. We are about to watch an Arkansas Municipal League meeting that was held last week that apparently had a large portion specifically about me. It was hosted by Municipal League General Counsel and Legislative Director John Wilkerson, along with another Municipal League member, Jonas Anderson, who is also the mayor of Cave City and has been in one of my videos. I want to say I think John did an amazing job. I did have one complaint, however, and I'm going to read the email between John and I discussing this complaint before we get into the video. I did talk. At the end of the day, I do not want anyone to violate anyone's rights, and neither do you. I teach, you test. Makes sense to me. Thank you again, John. And I love that last part where he says, you test, I teach. Now, I'd also like to note before we get into this real quick, that I have a court case coming up from being arrested in Dover, Arkansas for saying a bad word in public. And in the meeting, John Wilkinson, who is the legislative director for the Arkansas Municipal League, specifically says it is absolutely legal to say fuck in public.
What Random Patriot does is he comes and he decides that he's going to have a test. Remember, this is all about testing. And again, I'm not knocking Random Patriot. It's his First Amendment right to do it. But the Random Patriot shows up to town. He wants to do a test. So he had a sign, and it said F, and he did not just say F, cancer. Then he tallied how many 911 calls. 0 911 calls for the sign that said F cancer. Then he said, now I'm going to pull out the F, the Cave City Police Department sign. Then 15 911 calls. And his point, which I think is, I get what he's saying. He's saying it wasn't the word. It wasn't the F word. It was this fact that I was saying F police officers. He's not wrong. The word itself is not a violation. I can say it all day long if I wanted to, and the city can't arrest me for it. The police department can't arrest me for it. He was actually, anybody from Dover in here? Yeah, okay, so y'all know all about this. He came to Youngstown a couple 3 weeks ago, and your marshal arrested him and put the guy's face into the glass of City Hall, and I can tell you that don't look good on YouTube. Just to be clear, this is their God-given right. So I bless them for it. And we have to respect that it's their right to do this. So, but Random Patriot is a friend apparently of y'all back there too, like us. But he's getting bigger and bigger. He enjoys this.
I had law enforcement officers calling me saying, this is the law right here. Actually, they were wrong. That was not the law. Be prepared, number one, to stand up to your own citizens, unfortunately, and say, no, we can't do this. And like I told my people, we're going to keep our heads cool. We're going to stay calm, because the second you don't, you're going to screw up and you're liable to get yourself in a lawsuit.
I'm officially traveling. I've never been a traveling auditor before. I've usually stayed in Arkansas. We're actually still in Arkansas, but not for long. We are in West Memphis, which is just on the other side of the river of Tennessee. So we're in West Memphis. We're gonna come do this audit here in City Hall. Planning and development, community development, city attorney.
You are infectious with your happiness, and I love it. Maybe you could infect the guy sitting over in the booth over there, because he's very. Is he not grumpy or what?
Oh, that's just his natural. That's his natural face.
Just,
but you know, he has this rough exterior, but he's really a teddy bear.
I couldn't see, because same as you. I came up to you very nice. I smiled. I said hello, and I did the same thing to him. And he started telling me I can't film him, and being super rude. I know, okay. You know it's not true, and I know it's not. But
and that's what I was. Kirsten is my newest hire. I have 2 new girls.
Hello.
And I was telling
How are you?
Let me go ahead and educate, because we're the clerk's office, so we're the
Yes,
historian
ma'am.
for the city. I said, and just came back from a clerks association, and that was one of the trainings. You're in a public place, there's public access. I said there are places that are off limit where records and stuff is redacted.
I store it, right.
But you cannot tell somebody not to film you. This is the people's place.
And do you know why that meeting took place?
Actually, let's make sure it is that meeting.
I think it is.
Were you at a legislative meeting?
Yes.
Was John Wilkerson a
Yes.
speaker?
John Wilkerson and Mark.
Do you recognize this ugly face?
It happened because of him.
He's the guy I'm talking about. I'm the guy he's talking about that whole video.
Okay, but it was informative. Because
It was.
A lot of times people believe that, and it's really weird, because I have been really watching YouTubes where they're talking about the Fifth Amendment and when you get out of a police car, when you don't have to get out of a police car, when you have to show them ID. So I've just been really trying to.
It really opened your eyes to a lot of stuff,
It opens your eyes to a lot of stuff and how stuff can escalate when you can just be knowledgeable.
It's interesting how it came full circle, because you're a clerk doing a great job. You're a government employee.
Yes.
He's a citizen.
Right.
His rights were violated by police, and because of that, this meeting happened where you attended to teach everyone.
There's like 45 clerks, and our job is, when somebody calls and says, is to be informed and to be educated. So we meet 4 classes a year plus municipal league, and it's so that we can become knowledgeable.
Look how small the world is, though. His rights were violated. You went to a meeting. You learned how to, respect people's rights, and now both of y'all are meeting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? We're in Calhoun City in Calhoun County, unless I'm confused about something. I'm here with Harvey Freebird and Accountability for All. I have the City Hall behind me, in front of the water tower, some dumpsters, just so you know what's in front of me. And before I miss anything, let's go in. I like this building.
Ms. Nelly, do you have any sensitive information on your desk to see videos?
I won't even point it that way, but
I'm talking about him.
oh, someone else is over there. Sorry.
Yeah.
So who are you?
Yeah,
Who's
you-
involved with?
Oh, we have our own channels. We're traveling photographers. We go to different city halls. We learn about different towns.
That's fine. No problem. You want any cards?
Oh, I don't have a card. I keep saying I need to make a card, but I don't have any cards. I'm sorry.
Okay.
How,
It's not supposed to be video when it's private information.
Technically, he's allowed to video anything that his eyes can see. As far as the law, like that's how the law works. That's kind of we make sure not to do anything illegal. And you would just, if you were worried about him seeing something, you would just have to cover it. But that's yeah. What is this? One of the original buildings to the town? Is this like a really older building or?
Oh yeah, it's 1906, I think. Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So.
Now, of course, it's been remodeled.
Do you know when the town was found? Yeah. It's still pretty old though. It looks like.
Yeah, they remodeled it probably.
Like this tile.
Maybe 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. This tile is original.
Yeah, what their deal was, they remodeled it back to look like the original.
Oh, well, they did a good job.
Modern.
I think I love it. I hate when they make it modern looking.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I'm gonna leave you alone. But last question: if there was one other place in town that I should check out before I left, that kind of tells the story of the town,
That's old.
would you have any kind of thing like that?
Yeah, we can show you the Ace Room. Hang on
Yeah?
just a minute.
Okay.
I was trying to think of another building in town that's old. I was trying to think where. Of course, about one of the oldest businesses is Ball Building Supply.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the oldest businesses.
Oh, and so what is this room? This is cool.
You ever heard of Ace Cannon?
No.
Saxophone player?
Oh, no.
He's famous.
This is where he's from?
Mm-hmm.
Was this his house? Or, oh, this is just, it's like a museum for him?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That sax on the wall was his first sax when he was a little kid. See up there?
Oh, what? Look at that.
How's it going, man?
Mr.
Harvey. Hey, you know Mr. Justin.
Hey, dude, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Where am I going to be able to watch?
How did you know we were down here?
The random.
It's nice to meet you.
Where am I going to be able to watch?
Mine is called The Random Patriot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm very proud of it too.
On
These
YouTube.
ladies are
Shocked
fantastic.
you, what's the next
So, how did you know we were here?
Well,
Oh, you just came in and you just saw us.
So you watch our videos?
awesome, dude.
Yeah, no problem. Accountability for all.
I can't believe the chief of police knew who we
That
were.
is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. I love this place.
We're fans.
So she's sleeping. So, wait, you're about to see the payout. Wait. I'm not going to post it because I don't want to embarrass her. Let me ask you a question. He's been driving me crazy all day.
Oh, really?
For about 10 seconds. Could you deputize me just so I could detain him?
Just so you can detect.
Can I just for 10 seconds?
I wish I could.
I need to know who I'm talking to.
I want to do things the hard way.
You're fixing to go.
I want to.
Here's a good man.
I saw that deal in Dover, man. Oh,
Dude,
man.
hey, what do you think about that?
Man.
Was that crazy?
That was, oh, man, that was,
So my trial is on March 3rd.
that was crazy.
I got another chief, dude. Boom.
Well, you know how the quickest way to figure out who are excellent police officers? You ask them about Dover.
Right.
The good ones are like, that cops crazy.
So it's not just John Wilkerson, the legislative director for the Arkansas Municipal League, or Chief Giddens from Calhoun, Mississippi, that want to speak out publicly against my unlawful arrest. Here are more public officials that want to speak up.
Bridge the gap between the police department and the community so we can better serve the community.
My name is Roger Castillo. I've been a still active law enforcement officer for 25 years here in Southwest Texas. Been through a lot of use of force, a whole lot of arrests, and quite a bit of interactions with the public. When I watch Justin's channel, and I watch it quite often along with many others, it sheds a lot of light on what we do and how we do it, and there is right and wrong ways to do stuff like that. In his video, specifically, is protective speech. And why he doesn't do a different interaction with those guys is beyond me. That captain who arrested Mr. Justin was wrong in his assertion. It's not a violation. It's not disorderly conduct. And furthermore, he let his ego get the best of him, especially when mishandling Mr. Justin in the arrest. He used the advantage of that narrow doorway, which he knew was a narrow pathway. You can't fit two people in there. Looks real bad. Gives us all a bad name. We're not like that. It's people. It's not the job, but he made a bad decision on that, and it's going to bite him in the ass later. Kudos for Mr. Justin for keeping his chin up and doing the right thing. He's going the right direction. Y'all have an awesome Sunday, and hopefully we'll get to pick apart some other videos later with it.
Hello, Patriot Pack. This is Ricky here in Texarkana, Texas, and Arkansas. As someone with 8 years of law enforcement experience, over 20 years of being a volunteer firefighter and EMT, now I'm a school teacher, I know the importance of protecting our rights and what happens when those rights are violated. Recently, Justin was assaulted by Captain Colin Lillard of the Dover Marshal's Office while simply exercising his constitutional rights. This wasn't just a bad decision, it was a blatant abuse of power and a gross display of what a professional law enforcement officer should be. In my law enforcement experience, I have never seen an officer more out of touch with reality than the tyrant, Colin Lillard. This public servant here stands with Justin and his labor in protecting our God-given constitutional rights. We need accountability and we need answers. Support Justin by sharing his video, speaking up, and letting Dover officials know we're watching. Together, we can stand up for justice and make sure everyone's rights are respected. Stay strong, stay informed, and always fight for freedom.
Everybody, John here with Toe the Line. I wanted to do a quick video on the arrest of Justin with the Random Patriot from the Dover Marshal's Office. You know, I've watched the video multiple times, and as a veteran of law enforcement for 21 years, I am going to tell you that that arrest was 100% bogus and a false arrest. Captain Lillard got a case of what I'd like to call, when I was in law enforcement, a case of the by gods. By God, I'm the police, and by God, you're going to listen to me, and by God, you're going to do what I say, or by God, you're going to go to jail. Ego driven. When you have a chief of police or a sheriff or, you know, a supervisor above you, you kind of get away with doing some of these things. It grows and it grows, and if you got away with it for so long, it becomes a way of life. What Captain Lillard did, you know, getting up in Justin's face, bowing up, or what you would call peacocking, it's an embarrassment to law enforcement. The taking him inside, back to a room where there was no need to take him there, you know, choking him, that's what small town agencies do, because there's not really any oversight, especially when the chief is not handling his captain. And Captain Lillard is probably older than the chief and probably been in law enforcement longer than the chief. So the chief probably just sits by and lets Captain Lillard do whatever he wants. And I support Justin 100% in what he's doing out there. He's taught me a lot, and he's taught the 1A community a lot, and he's gotten a lot of corruption and wrongdoing from police departments and police officers throughout the state of Arkansas. He's exposing what they're doing. Because without him and without other auditors or without other journalists, freelance journalists, if you want to call them, none of this would be exposed, because the common citizen, the normal citizen, does not know, and they get told all the lies by the police department. So what you're doing, Justin, you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. Kudos to you for exposing that and taking the time out of your day to go up there and put yourself in a position where you know that that might have happened. But to put hands on you, arrest you, slam you into a door, and say that you were resisting, uncalled for and straight up 100% dirty. And then to slam your face into the glass like, oh, you're some big fighting person. For you to go through that, for you to go through the pain of what you had to go through that day, to prove a point that the Dover Marshal's Office needs to be shut down, a new chief, a new captain, new police department, probably a new mayor, you put yourself in line of fire for those citizens in that community. Captain Lillard, you need to go home. You need to lose your badge. You need to lose your certification.
My name is Pamela Britt. I am 51 years old, and I am from Mountain Grove, Missouri. My husband and I have been together for 33 years, and we have 4 children. Our careers have been in law enforcement. 2 of our children have also worked in the fields of corrections, so law enforcement is of no stranger to our family. I started my career in the late 90s as a dispatcher. I also worked as a ranger and reserve deputy for Webster County. Then in 2002, I attended the Missouri Sheriff's Association Academy, graduated in 2003 with my Missouri post license. I worked for Webster County as a patrol deputy. While in Texas, I worked for the Gray County Sheriff's Office. I went to work for the Pampa Police Department as a patrol officer. After some time, I had received a call from Sheriff Copeland requesting that I come back to the sheriff's office and work as an administrator. With Gray County, I worked closely with the court system, judges, prosecutors, probation, and other agencies. I've had a long career in law enforcement, and I'm very thankful for my experiences. I recently viewed a video involving a Captain Colin Lillard with the Dover Marshal's Office. I found those arrests very disturbing, to say the least. I've seen so many things wrong in how Lillard handled the situation. I've been in law enforcement for 20-some years, been around it, and worked in many areas of it, and his actions are just unbelievable. The arrest of Cody Duos was uncalled for. Using profanity is not against the law. And in my career, it was not uncommon to hear officers using profanity as a daily language. And they often used it quicker than the suspects or the citizens. Lillard was not only out of order by arresting Duos, but he also used unnecessary force. You could see on the video him twisting Duos's wrist. Not at any time is Duos seen resisting arrest. So it was uncalled for. I also seen the assaults that Mr. Lillard committed on Justin McHenry with Random Patriot. It was obvious that Mr. Lillard was outraged. Lillard jerked McHenry into the doorway of the department. Pretty common treatment. I mean, in my career, that's pretty common treatment by most officers when they're frustrated at a subject being arrested. It's not uncommon to throw them around and jerk them around. He threw McHenry into the lobby glass. He busted his mouth. McHenry never at one time was resisting arrest. Not in any way. He never deserved to be violated by Lillard's abuse of power. I mean, it was obvious Lillard was so mad, that he even threw McHenry to the floor for, again, no apparent reason. Then to find out that Lillard assaulted McHenry again by choking him behind cameras, that's unacceptable. Lillard should be relieved of his position. He should lose his license. Both Duos and McHenry were falsely imprisoned. Then to see that Mr. Josh Titsworth refused to produce patrol unit camera footage shows deception, and they're trying to hide wrongdoing. People who are innocent and have done nothing wrong are not afraid to step forward and release what they have, whether it's reports, camera footage, or whatever. Maybe they need to be reminded. Camera footage being deleted or tampered with is a punishable offense. But if they're rotten, then I believe they need their license pulled. There should be no tolerance. I would like to say I wish Mr. Duos and I wish Mr. McHenry the best of luck with getting their cases resolved. Mr. McHenry, keep doing what you're doing, educating those who need it. I mean, I really, really, really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
I received dozens and dozens more emails and messages from other law enforcement officers who wanted to tell me they support me, but that they can't speak out publicly, because that is the society we live in, where a police officer can't speak up in fear of retaliation from their own department. That's the world we live in. If you are a public official in any way and you would like to contribute to another video speaking up against my unlawful arrest, please reach out to me at therandompatriot@gmail.com. I've been trying to figure out a way to tell everybody the bad news. And I'm like, duh, the blues. The bad news blues. I know everyone's been waiting on this update, and here it is. But it's not the end, it's just the beginning. But the bad news is, I'm sure you've already guessed, I completely lost my entire trial. I was charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing governmental operations, and I was found guilty for both. And I've been trying to figure out the best way to explain all this, but there is no better way than to just tell you. So I go to trial March 3rd, and the courthouse in Dover is the same building as the marshal's office in the city hall. So it's that same little cramped building. It's the city hall / police station / courthouse / DMV / everything. And so it's kind of awkward in there. There's Colin. He's got some younger girl in there, I think might be his daughter, who keeps trying to listen to my personal conversations before court starts. And she acted like we didn't notice, but we all noticed you, whoever you were. And so the judge, if you didn't know this already, the judge, Deidre Luker, she recused herself. She is the district judge over Dover. She recused herself because when I was arrested, she was still the prosecuting attorney, and she became the judge between me getting arrested and my trial. So her recusing herself, I actually feel like played into their whole plan, because what they did was they get an old judge out of retirement just for me named David Paxson out of Fort Smith. He's been retired for a while. I've heard many people call him Judge Everybody's Guilty Paxson because he spent a lot of time as a prosecuting attorney, so he tends to lean more towards the state's benefit than he does the people's, in my opinion, and many other people's opinions apparently. And so they get him out of retirement just for me. I'm actually going to show you a news clip of him right before he loses his last election.
Tomorrow is Arkansas's primary election. It's also the state's judicial election. Tonight, District Judge Division 1 candidates for Fort Smith made a last-minute appeal to Sebastian County voters. New at 10, 5 News reporter Mallory Cook introduces us to the candidates.
Election Eve, just hours before the polls open, District 1 judge candidates David Saxon and Barry Neal list their credentials to a room full of Fort Smith voters.
This election, every vote is important. I've got a lot more experience than my opponent.
David Saxon served as Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney for 10 years. He's been a judge for the past 2 decades.
I've got a lot more courtroom experience than he does, and I think I've got a pretty good judicial temperament. I've got a pretty good reputation with most of the lawyers in town.
So here we are about 13 years after this, and he is in the city of Dover. He's got a job to do, and he's going to do it. And so there I am with my attorney, Whitfield Hyman, Judge Paxson, and then across from me is the prosecuting attorney, Jacob Phillips, along with some help, a deputy prosecutor who actually works for Jacob's dad. And honestly, Jacob did not have a good case at all. My attorney not only had stacks and stacks of case law that the judge did read and acknowledge, but seemed to not care about, in my opinion. We had all kinds of case law all over the table, stacks and stacks. My lawyer went through all kinds of it. It didn't really seem to make a difference in that room. And Jacob harped on 2 things, and the 2 things were completely irrelevant in my opinion. His opening statement and a big part of his case was playing my first video. And then he goes over the part where I'm looking inside of Lillard's car with my camera, and then Colin Lillard comes out and literally assaults me on camera in front of everybody. Even when he asks Lillard why he did that, Lillard admits it was to scare me. If you read the statute of assault, just the threat of I'm going to hurt you is assault. He admits to trying to threaten to hurt me, to scare me, because he didn't like the words that I was saying. And then one of the things that Jacob brings up probably the most in this trial, he brings it up over and over, is whenever we're inside the city hall and Lillard keeps getting closer and closer to me. He gets literally in my face. I tell him to get away from me. He then says, I'll get as close to you as I want. And then we're like this close. And then I say to him, well, if you're going to kiss me, I'll kiss you way harder than you kiss me. So Jacob's whole argument was that those were fighting words. So I was disorderly. The disorderly conduct wasn't that I swore in public. It wasn't that I cussed in public, even though clearly Lillard says on camera many times and then explains to Garrett from 5-0 Media and everybody the reason he arrested me was for swearing in public. He says it so many times. Well, they know that's not going to fly in trial, so they have to completely ditch that. And now they're saying that I was using fighting words when I said, I'm going to kiss you harder, in response to him getting in my face and saying, I'll get as close to your face as I want to. But they completely just skip over that. Jacob acts like Lillard had a right to get in my face, but I was wrong for saying, if you kiss me, I'll kiss you harder. That is his whole argument, and he brings it up over and over, and it makes no sense. So they can't even stick to their original reason that they arrested me. They have to completely ditch the whole reason I'm arrested, the whole reason Cody got arrested, the whole reason that jailer got the citation for flipping him off. They have to ditch everything and replan and say, oh, well, he was using fighting words. And then to do that, they had to completely ignore everything that he did to me for me to respond that way. And guess what? The judge completely is just like, yep, Jacob's right. Yep. He assaulted you by saying all that. It makes no sense. Not only that, Lillard is terrible on the stand, by the way. He actually tells a bunch of stuff that wasn't even asked of him. He completely volunteers the story of what happened when we were in the back room when I said that he choked me. Because he did choke me. So he tells the whole story, and he tells it pretty darn accurate. But he specifically says, voluntarily, by the way, no one even asked him about this. He specifically says he had his hand right here. He says, I grabbed Mr. McHenry right here. By the way, I'm handcuffed. And then I led him around by right here, and then I squeezed by right here, and then I pushed him down in a chair by right here and continued squeezing right here before I let go. It's all accurate. That's exactly right. Except your hand wasn't right here. It was about 6 inches up on my freaking throat. I don't know why you volunteered that story, but now that's on record that you are admitting all that happened, and you're just claiming that your hand was a little bit lower than it actually was. Not to mention I had marks on my neck. You know what I mean? Like he look at me. He put his hand on my throat and squeezed. I don't know what to tell you. So we get through the trial. We're almost toward the end. We can tell the judge already has his mind made up. You know, he's there. He has a job to do, and he's going to do it. So what's it going to hurt to throw me on the stand? My attorney asked me a bunch of questions. We go over case law. I honestly feel like my attorney did a really good job. It's now Jacob's turn to question me, and I am just ruining Jacob. I'm owning him the entire time. He's trying to bring up whenever I told Lillard I was going to kiss him harder. I said, if you're going to bring that up, then quit bringing it up out of context and let's watch the whole video. Now let's watch Lillard getting in my face and then me responding that way. And then, anything that he brought up about when we were outside by Lillard's car, I am recording inside the car, and Lillard comes out and he does that crazy face and turns around and acts like he's about to attack me. But I don't move, I don't budge, because I'm not scared of cowards like Captain Lillard. And Lillard even admits that he did that to try to scare me, which is the definition of assault in Arkansas. So he admits to assaulting me. I bring all this up, which Jacob was not ready for. He thought I was going to cower down to, why did I do that? No, why did Lillard do that? You are ruining your whole case by even questioning me at all. You might as well go sit back down. It's like what the entire courtroom was thinking. At one point, I can even tell, I think I'm winning over the judge. He started looking at this from a whole different perspective, I felt like. He actually calls a recess. My attorney, Jacob, everyone goes back into the judge's little quarters, which is actually just the marshal's office, the back room where I was choked in. So they all go back to the back room where I was choked to have their little thing. I won't tell on camera what I was told was said back there, but when they come back out, the first thing the judge asks me is, because I'm still on the stand, the judge asks, if I was offered an opportunity to shake Lillard's hand and we apologized to each other, would I take it? And that's how he worded it. It wasn't like, and this or and that or blah, blah, blah. It was just, would you take it? And you want to know what? I said I would. But I said I would if he acknowledges, and this isn't, I didn't say I would and I'm not going to continue charges or anything like that. None of that was even brought up. It was just, would you? And I said, yeah, I would, if he'll acknowledge. Because at that point, the judge had even acknowledged you can't arrest people for swearing in public. Like, even the judge admitted, yes, that's violating people's rights by arresting people for swearing in public. You can't do that, which is why they had to change their whole case. So I said, the whole reason I was there that day was to make sure he doesn't arrest anyone else for swearing in public. And if he has learned that truly today, and he is apologetic for what he has done and wants to shake my hand, I will shake his hand. But again, nothing about not filing a lawsuit or any of that was brought up to me. So, I said, hell yeah, let's do it. So after that, I see the judge look over at Jacob, the prosecutor. Jacob's kind of like doing like a quick head nod no, and then we move on. Like that question was never even asked of me. Shortly after that, the judge says I'm guilty of everything. Guilty of this, guilty of that, guilty. And so he finds me guilty of everything. He gives me a suspended sentence of 60 days. It was actually, he tried to do 6 months probation, but you can't do that. And by the way, like, he had to have the clerk there help him with a lot of stuff that day, like a lot of stuff. And he tried to give me 6 months probation, and then they said you can't do that because this, because that. He ended up changing it to 90 days, and then I think to 60 days suspended sentence. So as long as I don't get in trouble for 60 days, then I won't go to jail. And he said, and actually I'll make it so the charges completely go away. And he was talking right to me. He said, they will completely go away. You cannot see them. No one can see them. It's like they never existed. I'll make sure they're completely gone. And I felt like he was doing that because he felt bad for finding me guilty. That maybe not felt bad, but that was kind of his olive branch to me, was I'll make these go away after a couple months if you don't get in trouble again. But there seemed to be a stipulation to that. I wouldn't be able to appeal. And if I can't appeal, I can't continue this whole journey that I'm doing for not just me, for the people. My attorney and I went to the boys' bathroom together. and we spoke about it. And, you know, my first initial instinct was to take the guilty plea, because it's just going to go away in 2 months. You know, it's the easiest way. It's the cheapest way. But that's not what I'm doing this for. I'm not doing this so they can get away with arresting people for free speech, and then they have to change the whole reason I'm even here in trial, because they know damn well that I can swear in public, and then I still get found guilty of the crap that they had to change it to, just for me to be like, oh, thank you for it goes away in 2 months, Your Honor. No, and no disrespect to Paxson. I know maybe I sound like I'm just giving you my opinion on him. I'm not on here calling him names. You know, there's a nickname I've heard, I guess. But no, I have to continue this. I have to. So I am going to appeal. It's going to cost me money. It's going to cost me a lot more money than the first trial. But I'm going to take this as far as I can take it, as long as I have the support of all of you. And it's a lot of support, and I feel it, and I really appreciate it. I'm also going to do something I've never done on this channel, and I'm going to throw my PayPal and my Venmo up on screen. If you can help me with my attorney fees, it's much appreciated. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just hit the like button, maybe watch another video for me. And so I was found guilty. I got the 60 days suspended sentence and like $600 in fines. I have not filed the appeal yet, but I definitely am. And as always, I'm always open for advice or any extra help. If you can help me in any way at all, I mean, reach out. I would appreciate it. therandompatriot@gmail.com. I've never been through this before, and I'm going through it for all of us.